Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Carpo. I'm thinking tonight about lines that should not be crossed. Or rather, are there any lines that should not be crossed? As far as joking around, and you hear the old joke about, oh, is it too soon? You know, somebody kills himself and people crack a joke. Like, too soon? When is too soon, But I don't really take offense when people crack jokes that are related to, even horrible historical events, because I believe that if a person can't put a humorous twist on the realities of life, then, you know, you'll, your psyche suffers because of it. But, that's just my personal opinion. I do think that there's a certain amount of reverence that should be held for certain events. I'll give you an example. The reason why is because I was watching Family Guy a little while ago, and Family Guy is probably my favorite show ever. I think that it is the funniest damn show ever, and there are a lot of lines of thought on it. There's people who think it's a great show, and then there are people who think that it's just a horrific, crude show that makes no sense and they don't get it. And then there's the folks who think that it's just for people who are just stoner types, people who are just, sit around and laugh at it, which to an extent maybe is true. But the reason why I like it has nothing to do with, you could look at a person, in other words, who watches those kind of shows, Family Guy, American Dad. The Cleveland Show is another one that Seth MacFarlane did, but that one's not quite as funny in the same way. There's no cutaways, but I think it's well done, and actually it grew on me. I watched all of them recently, but I've watched pretty much every Family Guy episode at least 3 or 4 or 5 times. I absolutely love the show, and anytime I turn it on, I always laugh. And the antics, the cutaways, the jokes, and the references just get me. A lot of 80s references and stuff that I totally understand. Seth MacFarlane is the creator, and he grew up around the same time. So I give props to him. I also give props to all of his writers, because I know he's not the only one who does it. But it starts to get me to wonder, certain people don't think that stuff's funny. They think that it's too crude. And my example would be like the Holocaust, joking around about the Holocaust, or joking around about, dropping the bomb, or, honestly, I can't think of a single thing that Family Guy hasn't covered. Everything you can imagine. And, a person may look at that and think, okay, the show's just there to get ratings, and that the point, that the only reason they're saying that is just to rile people up and to get credit, because a lot of people do outrageous things in the world of television to try to get people to view their show. I don't think Family Guy follows that suit at all. I think that that he really hit home on a lot of issues that people needed to get over, and I think people take life too serious. I really do. The one thing I've realized about Family Guy and shows like that is that, and South Park is a great one too. I love South Park. I've never seen an episode that I took offense to, personally. So that's what really got me thinking, because I know so many episodes have been so offensive to so many people. They had one that, sorry, I got a cold. They got one that was about Wish Upon a Weinstein, and it was about a Jew, and they supposedly didn't want to air it because it was, harping on Jews. But they've got ones that are all about. They've got one, between all of these different cartoons, there's ones about Judaism, there's ones about Christianity, Muslims, the Scientologists, the Mormons. And they tackle all the religions, and then on top of that, they tackle all the political parties, all the candidates, left and right wing, gun right advocates and gun right opponents. They tackle, people who are, pro this and anti this. They go from all sides of the coin, which is what makes it such a funny idea that, a show could, especially a cartoon, could offend someone. I don't understand I think that if a person's offended, then maybe they need to rethink the structure of what they're offended about or why they're offended, because, you know, I think most people have the common sense to know the difference between whether something's culturally detrimental or not. And just because you crack a joke, say, about the Holocaust, doesn't mean you revere it as not as serious as it was. People are obviously opposed to many of the atrocities that have happened throughout history. But to be able to poke fun at them, I think it's poking fun more at the people who make these things happen than it is the people who it happened to, in a way. Saying, saying, look at this, it's ridiculous. It's not saying it's funny, it's saying it's ridiculous. And that's something I think people need to maybe get a different grip on. But, I guess that's just me. I don't take offense to anything. There's really aren't anything that people could say to me that offends me, because if it does offend me, which from time to time it does, it's either because the person is so obviously wrong, or but when that's the case, it's usually somebody just trying to, rile me, which I just ignore it. Or if it's someone who says something that's right. And often in the past, when I've found myself being offended by something, I start to wonder, what is it about myself that is wrong, that makes me offended by this? Because ultimately, each person can look within themselves and find that most of the offenses that we take are due to our own insecurities. And most of the judgments we make are due to projections of our own shortcomings in our psyche. Some people are such projectionists, it's to the extreme. A good example is someone who's always telling everybody to get a job and they don't have one themselves. Or somebody that's always telling people they need to share more, but he's a totally selfish person. Or, it seems like the more a person tells people what they are, the more likely that that's exactly what that person is. And some people know they're doing it, and they're more sociopaths, but some people are really just ignorant of it. So when somebody takes offense to something, it's usually deep down inside something that they know they need to work out on their own. Because, for example, a person who's religious may be offended by one of these shows if it's making fun of their religion. But they should be able to laugh along with it if they truly believe what they believe, and just say, oh, well, it is what it is, I don't have to agree with it. I don't agree necessarily with everything I see, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to be offended by it. But, I guess that's what I'm asking here. Are there any limits? What are you people offended by? What's too much? Because I haven't seen it yet. Everything is just kind of funny to me. I find humor in the strangest things, while at the same time having a high reverence for, all of the horrible things that have happened in history. That's not what I'm talking about. But, I can poke fun at everything, and I expect to be poked back at. Because if I can't defend myself, or if I if I have to defend myself, then maybe I should consider why I'm even bothering. And I do. I'm just human. I make mistakes, I'm judging things based on what I think I know, and that's the best I can do right now. But, yeah. Things to think about, What are you offended by? Great shows. Seth MacFarlane and his crew, props. Peace out.